Welcome to the Queen Divas, Queens of Fitness podcast. Join your hosts, three-time WBFF world champions and WBFF royalty, Alicia Gowans and Stephanie Ayala McHugh, as we explore all things female health, training, competing, mindset, and living the fitness life every day.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Queen Divas podcast, Queens of Fitness, with my beautiful co-host and best friend, Stephanie Ayala McHugh.
And my gorgeous Alicia Gowans.
And we are kind of bringing out a bit of a relevant topic, which we will come to after we do our little catch up of the week. And this week's topic is actually going to be all about the rather unpopular opinion about the fact that hunger is inevitable when we are in a deficit. So feeling that is just going to happen. And a lot of people get anxiety and nerves about moving into a space where they feel hungry. And we'll go into that. And we'll go into some of the, the client feedback and the things of how to navigate with clients and some of the crazy thought process that people have. But it is inevitable. And there is no way you can get around it, considering that we are strategically starving oneself to a specific aesthetic condition for a temporary, small 5-minute window of time on the scale of things on a stage.
You nailed it there. It's for a specific window of time. That's like the best way you could have definitely nailed it, because so many people just assume you're going to live and walk around that way and you should starve yourself. And they get in the mindset that, oh, that hunger makes me look so lean. So they actually want to keep that up, right? Like they want to keep staying hungry and like staying starving. I'm like, no. We got to get you back up to maintenance. Let's get those calories worked back up. I think so many competitors get really stuck in that mentality of like wanting to be lean and the calories, they stay low, which then starts that chronic dieting phase that really affects their hormones, their gut health, like everything starts spiraling out of control. So it is a very important topic, but it's also very funny that we're talking about the hunger, because I've actually been undergoing some little bit of hunger myself. I've actually started a little cut for these upcoming shoots that I had. I just finished, so I feel so much better. I think any person that does shoots can kind of relate that you kind of get anxiety with just the fact that you have to look a certain way. Yeah. And I think that maybe we're in our head that we have to look a certain way, because we're not going on stage, especially on mine. It wasn't for stage, but you care about how you look and how the photos are going to come out. So it is more about trying to create a system. If it's not a prep itself, so for me it was just gonna be a mini cut. I was just gonna do a little small amount of deficit. I didn't want to do something too aggressively, so all I did was clean up honestly some of my cheat meals that I was having a few more refeeds throughout the the weeks that I had the ability to. I was in the phase where I was able to, but I cleaned that up. I kind of laid off on having the refeeds for a little while, since I needed to create a deficit. Having a refeed, hey, it doesn't make sense, right? If we're trying to go in a deficit, you're having a refeed. I'll have clients ask me, can I get a refeed? I'm like, we're trying to create a deficit. Unless we've actually hit a point where you have plateaued and hit a point where you're not really getting change, why am I going to refeed you? It makes no sense. So I definitely didn't need a refeed in these last few weeks, and I did get it leading up into the post shoot. So I do look forward to that, and I think that's what drives me too. I think any competitor can also relate. As you get deeper into the prep or into the deficit, you look forward to your refeed or your cheat. So for sure, I will say with a lot of the shooting, I did start feeling a little less, I guess, motivated. When it comes, I was just less motivated to do what.
Yeah.
I was blah. I'm not gonna lie, I was blah. I was not really like 100 myself. I didn't really feel like a bubbly, wasn't really the outgoing person. I was there. I was okay, but you're fatigued, you're fatigued, you're hungry, you get a little hangry, you want water, and I was able to drink water. It's nothing that I didn't cut no water. I'm not going on stage, but you're hungry, your mind starts playing games on you. And I think this is where the comparison game starts actually playing a very big toll on any person. Because as you get leaner, your brain starts really fucking with you, honestly.
It really does. And look, I'm sitting here giggling and laughing because as everyone that's sort of been following my journey knows, I've been in the polar opposite of phases since like November. It's been about dropping some size and putting on body fat. So I'm like, I'm loving all the foods. I ain't got no deficits anywhere. And I'm feeling all of the Alicia. Like there is no bar here at all.
Thicker than a snicker.
At the same time though, you still have those little moments where it messes with your head a fraction though, because you're in that space where you're going, well, fuck, this is so removed from where I usually sit. Like, I literally trained 3 times. Okay, I trained no upper body at all for over a year. Like with COVID and everything going down, and knowing that I was changing my shape for the upcoming shows. Yeah. And then also because I had to lose more size for a role in a project, I lost a little more. And then I literally trained only 2 or 3 times in 2.5 months. No even joking.
I love that you're so honest about that, because I hate when people try to, say that it's bad to not train. I'm like, you need a break.
I'm actually full honest. Like I literally went, and it was very weird for me, like really weird. And then, like I throw in the top that and I'll talk about this more publicly in the next 2 months when it's all done. But I've had to have a couple little mini surgeries, and one got postponed from last month. We're going to be having it this month. And then by next month, things will be a little bit more normal, and I'm going to share the journey and everything with everyone at that point in time, but I'm not sharing it until then. And so that's also then throw another spanner in the works. So in conjunction with like not doing things for a specific reason, I've then had I've had a little mini surgery already on the way to this, and then I couldn't swim. So I couldn't even like get in the pool and do the things that just make you feel good. I couldn't do anything. So I went from like, you know what I'm like? I'm usually like
super active
all the time, super active. So this has been a head fuck with me in a totally different way. Okay. But what it actually concerns me about a little bit is I don't even know what hunger is anymore. I won't lie. The concept of when the cut comes in like maybe two months' time, I'm going to be like, what the fuck is this?
What is this? Yeah, I don't know this shit.
What is this feeling? What is this feeling when I'm not like fully satisfied all of the time? Which brings me to the point that, okay, in our current climate, and I think it's a good thing that the message is getting out there that, we don't want to be under-caloried. We don't want to be starting and living on air. Like we don't want to be, it's unhealthy. It's not right. We're trying to eliminate a lot of what was once normalized behavior when it comes to eating disorders. Right. And we're blowing up into the spotlight and becoming very, focused and putting things under a magnifying glass when it comes to disordered eating. And we're truly, genuinely focused, I think, as an industry now on healing relationships with food, right? Yes. So I love all of this, and I love all of it intensely that it's happening. And I'm a massive advocate. And in a time where the world it's easier than ever before to source food, to get really convenient based food, to get stuff on the run, to be in control of your food, to track, to not go hungry, right? People are forgetting what hunger feels like, actually. And for a lot of people, they're eating above and beyond their actual hunger cues. They're actually overeating most of the planet, I think.
Most of the time.
Most of the time, right? And so then when it becomes time to actually rein it in, reel it in, become focused on and start to listen to actual genuine hunger cues, but also to understand that, hey, not all hunger is bad for you. It's very hard. And what I'm seeing is an increasing, now that we're getting all these influencers where they're posting specific macros and big calorie targets, and people, please don't buy into that. It's got to be individualized to you. Just because Mary Jane over there is saying, I eat 400 carbs a day. Yeah, you know what? Maybe you do. You also don't know what else you're taking.
But then also the whole context.
Don't think you need to go and eat that just because she says she is, right? So that's point number 1. But point number 2 is, I also believe that understanding a little bit of hunger is okay, is also important, but also recognizing that should you choose to do this sport, should you choose to be in a position where we've got to go weight based and we actually do have to
lose weight,
drop body fat, you're going to feel hunger, whether you like it.
100%. There's not a prep that I've not been hungry. There's not been one prep
where you turn to Kerry, like I've turned to Chris, I was going, what? Looked at my bowl and going, that's not 100 grams of rice. I need like 3 more. I need 3 more. I need 3 more rice grains. You better put 3 more rice grains in there, because that is, you just
How many times do you re-weigh your food just to make sure? No, there's no way. That's just the only amount I get.
The moment where you drop something on the floor and then you just start crying because you know that's 20.
Oh, that was so you. Yeah, that was so you.
Fucking 20 grams on the floor. Do you understand that every single gram counts? Like,
Yeah.
we all have those moments, and I laugh about it because for me, I probably have maybe 3 of those moments every prep in my final last 2 or 3 weeks, because it's inevitable, right? That's just when my brain's like, I can't fucking cope with this anymore.
It's pride. It really is, and people don't understand. Yeah,
but you've got to get comfortable with that, and you've also got to understand, if you've got a good coach, and if you're managing things well, and if you've had a great off season, and if you are primed in a pre-prep phase before you hit the cut, it's not ever going to be a damaging level of hunger. It's not ever going to be a damaging level of deficit. It will be a well managed, with hopefully diet breaks to, give you a level of replenishment and mental, reboots, because it's the mentality and it's the emotions that start to get you fatigued, right? They get a bit of a refresher, and then you can step into the next deficit with a little bit more oomph again, right? So I think that it's really clear here that, whether you like it or not, you can focus as much as you want on hitting the protein, making sure you're hitting your fiber, and being well hydrated. If you're in a deficit, you are still going to feel hunger, people, and it's okay.
And where you said it right, where if you start already at a low calorie range, you are setting yourself up for failure. I do not believe in anyone starting a prep or going into a competition prep or even a fat loss phase without actually having a good, adequate amount of maintenance calories already being having. If you go into a dieting phase, any dieting phase, and already you're chronically dieting, you are just setting yourself up for failure. No matter if that's hormonally, your gut, anything, just even your physical state, your recovery, your sleep, it's all going to be shit. So you definitely want to make sure you're already at a maintenance level or even a surplus. If you're in a surplus, you're definitely going to have it a lot easier going into a deficit. You're going to then bump down to maintenance. The only mind F about this is that when you come up from a surplus, I think so many people, and I think this is even ourselves, when we kind of get a little frustrated when we come from a higher calorie range to then sending them to maintenance, we want to see abs already. Like, we want to already be shredded. Like, we want to just 3-week cut, 4-week cut. We're like, we should see our abs. We should be able to see veins and stuff. And you don't get that because you came from a surplus. All right. So you probably are bumped down now to maintenance. So your body's probably in a phase where, you need to be in a deficit to start seeing even those changes. I know for myself, if I'm not in a deficit, I do not see my abs. I'm not one of those individuals that walks around with their abs year round. It's just not, genetically is not my build. I actually have very shallow tendons in my abs. So I have to work really, really hard to bring them out. And it only shows when I have small amount of body fat, less body fat. So maybe there are other areas of my body that when I fill out and, I go into my off season may still look muscular, but that's just because genetically I'm holding less body fat there. I do genetically hold more in my midsection, and that is where it likes to go. And that's the first thing to go and the last thing to come. So anyone that is looking, for abs when they're dieting, I think that's another bad thing to do, because you're tying in your dieting phase to just a pair of abs. That's not the way this should be. Hunger is going to happen, but that's the only way you will get those abs, I'm going to tell you, is by actually getting, especially if you're like me, I know if I'm in a deficit, I'm going to start seeing maybe some more lines. I'm going to start seeing maybe my, tummy tighten up a little bit. My obliques start showing up, but maybe not that full on 6-pack. Okay. Maybe not until I actually have a full on prep. So for sure, anyone that's out there dealing with a little hunger, hey, it's normal. I think Ali said it 100% right. Like, it's actually needed for you to see a certain level.
You also can't get around it, right? Because as there's a caloric deficit, there is actually an increase in certain hormones that create appetite. So your appetite, your urge to eat, will be enhanced because of upregulation and downregulation of certain hormones in that hypocaloric state, right? So there's no way out of it. It's just biochem. It's just the way the body functions. It is what is going to happen. So I think the key here is being aware of that it is normal. It's actually your body's, responses, biochemical responses to the process of actual reducing calories. So caloric intake comes down, those signals get, increased. You are going to feel hunger, right? And increasingly you feel less satiation. So two things is it's going to be lowered calories, but it's also going to be lowered volume. Like you're just not able to eat as much in order to bring those down. So keys here, ways to address this. And the thing that I first and foremost go to with athletes and when I'm working on programming is how can we volumize your food in a way that allows us to create a higher level of satiation, at least, across the course of your day? How can we get more bang for buck? With some people even, and I'm not necessarily saying this should be a protocol for everyone, and I don't think that it does not show, scientifically does not show any greater benefit for you to intermittent fast than those that don't. So don't buy into the fact that intermittent fasting gets you this amazing result. I personally used it for a very long time, mainly because I was on the floor with clients. I just couldn't eat in the first part of my day. I didn't do it because I was trying to get an outcome physically. I did it because I could not stop and eat, and it was unprofessional to walk around with a fucking bagel in my hand. So I just didn't do it.
Don't be that person.
Now I'm not on the floor. I'm different. I don't do intermittent fasting. However, when I do get into a prep and my volume does, I try to volumize my food, but my total volume and caloric intake goes down. I will push out the start of my day with food, and I will break my fast a little later. I find then that I feel more satiated across the course of the day, consuming those calories in just a smaller eating window. Now, that's one thing that works for me. It's not going to work for everyone. Again, individualization is key. Context is key, guys. So you've got to apply it to what fits you and what fits your clients. But number one thing is starting to volumize food. So starting to look at ways that I can maybe reappropriate, portions of, quite fibrous containing, because remember, you still got to hit your fiber. You still got to hit your protein, fiber. So how can I create and volumize my vegetable sources? Am I looking at the leafy greens that create more volume, that fill me a little more? How can I create lower calorie filling vegetables in my salads? How can I remove some of the things that might be too too dense? So, not packing out tablespoons of peanut butter and stuff when I could be instead looking at, a little bit of olive oil on my salad dressings and a little bit of avocado, or maybe a little bit of cheese from my salad instead, right? So guys, it's looking at these things, right? Do you have to go straight to and only eat vegetable-based rices? No, you don't. But just understand that there are ways that you can maximize your carbs and fill it and volumize a little bit more. Like we in Australia will go with pumpkin over sweet potato or potato. Right. We get, and I know they're available in the States. They're called Sunlight. Here they're called Spudlight, but you get a lower carb potato. There are options here. So I guess I'm just trying to showcase to people that you can look at how you approach the structure of your day and your food. Map it out where you try to make choices that still provide the macro and micronutrients you need across the course of the day. That's important. But you are volumizing it by the food choices that provide more satiation, right? So that's the key here. Hydration is also key. There's also research. Don't go thinking, I don't know if you do this, but I know way back 10 years ago, early in my career, I used to think, just smash myself full of water and I will not feel hunger. Let me share a little something. I will try and find the research and I'll link it to the podcast later, but there is actually research that shows that too much fluid in and around your food will actually only further increase hunger. Because it's cell swelling, and so it has a systemic effect now on the gut.
It swells up the food. Yeah, it's like swells up the food.
And it can make you feel hungrier. So my now take home is I try to keep hydrated in between meals, consistently sipping away and having, my waters and my herbal teas and what have we. And then I try not to have any food right around mealtime. But anyway, there is research around that. So don't automatically think you can go and drink, and that will, take away your hunger, because it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't make you not as hungry. But there is some people that actually have a misconception that they think they're hungry when they're really thirsty.
That's correct.
So you do need to make sure you're fully hydrated. That doesn't mean you have to have that full gallon a day. I think for competitors, because they're training, they're doing cardio, they're doing a lot of, technically a lot more activity. It's a little more needed, but anyone who's just a regular lifestyle, 3 liters, honestly, you're fine with getting in at least 3 liters a day. That's adequate amount of fluid. And that is just H2O. I'm just referring to just water, like not
everything with
all the extra stuff. Like it's okay if you get more than that in. But again, back to what you said, I agree. You shouldn't just be drinking all this water unless you're actually thirsty.
Yeah.
Thinking that that's
And
where you at.
taking back on that too, you shouldn't just be drinking. Think about it from the point of view too, that the whole process of food and digestion occurs and starts in the mouth. So it's actually the release of
Mastication.
enzymes, and it's actually saliva, and there is actually a process inside of your mouth first. Now, the signal and the process of feeling full takes a full 15 to 20 minutes from the brain to the gut along the enteric nervous system to register. So what you should be doing is practicing mindful eating, sitting down, not inhaling your food just because you're hungry. Sit down, slow
I'm
down.
guilty of that. I'm so
Chew.
guilty of just swallowing my food.
Yeah, masticate, allow the taste everything you're eating and enjoy the moment. Actually seriously masticate your food. Don't stick to liquid based calories. They're empty. They don't fill you as much.
Exactly.
They're only,
Your gut doesn't have to process.
Exactly. You're removing these processes or these steps inside of that whole system, right? That are going to limit your feeling of satiation. So don't do that. Think about the things that are going to be proper, mindful, sit down, chew slowly, allow the mastication process and the full digestive from the mouth all the way down through to start doing what it needs to do. Yeah. That is going to be some really small little things that are so common sense and so easy to implement, right? That will help manage the craziness of hunger.
And I think, and to touch actually on that is going back to the liquids thing that you said. I agree. Even going into like a deficit and going into those leading weeks that are really crucial and you are getting hungrier, I would actually start replacing some of your supplements like protein and actually eat food. I would have and eat your protein rather than just trying to get it supplemented in, because it was easier at the time of your prep to just do a protein shake. Start eating your protein, have an actual meal in replacement. That's going to make you feel so much better because again, it's going through your gut, you're digesting it, and the satiation just goes up so much more than just protein shake.
You can even take that protein powder and turn it into something, like I'm
for sure. Like bake with it. Bake, egg whites. Yes. Yep. Just eating food and getting it in your gut. And that's alone, again, the mastication, those signals that it sends, having some actual satiation in your gut, right? Just because you have something in there to digest. So definitely don't just keep the supplements if you feel the hunger. I feel another thing that helps me tremendously as I get, obviously in a calorie budget, where I don't get to have all my micronutrients and like technically a lot of the fruits and the type of vegetables, or maybe I'm only limited to certain vegetables that I can eat because of the calories and the carbs that are in them. I don't really get all my micronutrients in. So I actually implement a daily greens powder. I actually take the Revive MD, actual greens powder, because that daily greens has everything that I need. So anybody that is struggling actually getting all their micronutrients in, I would suggest to implement a daily greens powder, a good one, okay? Because there's actually some quite shit ones out on the market. So just make sure, you do get one that is high quality, maybe some probiotics or prebiotics in it, some good fiber, and you're good for the day for your daily dosage. And then you can just kind of spread out your vegetables, and your carbs as needed. And if you're not already doing a pre and post nutrient timing type of meal with your protocols, then we definitely need to make sure you're allocating the pre and post carbs the best time around your training window. So utilize obviously the carbs to recover and to fuel you through your session. So if you're not already doing that, make sure your macros and everything's adjusted around your training window.
And this is where, if we're going to have a period of a systemically long or a tapered deficit through to, like, say, a stage, this is where a period of diet breaks or frequent, breaks like that, where you come back up to a maintenance level, can really help. And it's literally just like we talked about before, gives you the mental reprieve, gives you a little bit of a takes away some of the emotional distress, but also it just helps lift. The science behind it doesn't necessarily say you're going to get this massive jacked increase in performance necessarily, or a massive jacked result in an increase in body fat percentage. But what it is going to give you is a pedal off of the metal and a volume down on that hunger signal. It's going to give you just a boost of energy again. It's going to make you feel alive, less like a zombie for the solid 5 to 7 days you apply for. And it just gives you the ability to step back into that deficit and tackle that next phase of hunger again, right? So I would definitely be suggesting, if you are struggling and if you're looking at it and going, look, I just want to eat everything in the cupboard because I can't stop thinking about it.
Yes.
It's creating all these
issues. Ravenous.
talk about this with your coach and create some strategies where you have some time strategic diet breaks along the way to stage to reduce that and just help you. I will suggest this, it does get easier. You do get capable of managing this process better year on year, season on season. The more times you do it, the more aware of how it feels. You'll probably freak out the first time you're doing it because you have no idea. You have never been to expect stuff. Like, I get it. But just go through it with professionals you can trust.
Yes.
Really listen to your body, really learn, educate yourself around why hunger happens, where it happens, what it does to your body, what it does to your hormones if you are doing this the incorrect way for too long. Important for you to be aware of that, so you can take more accountability for owning your health in the process as well. It's not just your coach in this journey, it's you and the coach, right? So you got to own your own space too. But I would strongly suggest, if you're moving into a space where you know you need to lose weight for a photo shoot, life goal, and or in particular for a stage, just recognize that a little bit of hunger is not bad. And it is in fact normal, and it is in fact inevitable. And you've got to need to do it if you want to actually lose the body fat. So again, I hope we've been able to give a little bit of really good, blue vision about what it's going to look like, how it happens, why it happens, I guess, just superficially at least, because otherwise it'll be a little bit bombarded information. And if you want to know a little bit more, reach out to us. We have no issues with communicating with anyone around, what we've gone through, how to expect, it might look, and any advice we can give you. My main advice, though, would always be, if you're ever in doubt, or you're ever really worried, or it's causing you severe anxiety, speak up, talk to your coach, raise it. Get your hand held through it if it's your very first time, because you're going to need it. It can be a very scary or daunting process, feeling hunger, because there's food downstairs. Why can't you just go eat it? Like, that's what it gets like sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, but it is inevitable, and it's not entirely unhealthy. Okay, it's just got to be, and it
has to be strategic. Yeah, strategic. It has to be strategic. I don't need anyone that's ravenous all the time, waking up in the middle of the night, starving just for no reason. Like, that has to be strategic. If a client ever comes and says, "Hey, I'm hungry in the middle of the night," oh, hey, it's working. Hey, we're obviously in a deficit. That's a good sign. Maybe we don't need to stay there for very long. That is a good sign, right? That gives you when to have a diet break or when to have a refeed. But no, it is normal. Absolutely. You need to undergo these hunger cues to actually drop the body fat. Okay. It goes into the adipose tissue, starts using that as a source of energy, and you start getting leaner. That's just how the process works. So it is a process. There is a system behind it, but make sure you are following it, making sure you are communicating with your coach and getting some biofeedback to them, and honestly being very smart about how you nutrient time your meals, how you put in volume into your meals, and how you hydrate.
Exactly. And also be aware that this is, again, we've touched on this before, we've said it in another podcast, I'll always reiterate it again, for a 2-second window of time. 5 minutes on the course of the whole year is what time frame you'll spend at that level of lean that you need to be for a stage. Then you get the fuck
literally,
because you can't be there. It's not healthy. It's not hormonally, balanced. It's get the hell out, right? You reverse up and out back to a healthy baseline where hunger is a foreign memory.
Which we will have a separate topic for that, because reverse dieting is such a needed topic to be able to, communicate with everyone that's competing, as well as anyone that's going through a dieting phase and wants to just continue staying there because they think it's okay. Then you, again, go start into chronic dieting. We need to make sure we bump up to maintenance and reverse out properly. So you don't just diet. Okay. There's a diet after the diet called the reverse diet. So you do have something to, look forward to after. Exactly. So just make sure that when you are in a dieting phase, you do push yourself, you trick your mind. Sometimes there's mind hacks, I like to call them, to kind of, get through the hunger that you may be feeling. Heck, more leafy greens, more things that are going to literally have the mastication signals kind of go. A rice cake really doesn't have much in it. So if I can really sacrifice putting in a rice cake or some cucumbers or anything of that nature, I'm for it, because it's so low, obviously in carbs, so low, but I still get that chewy and that, air, or like just a good crunch or something, so there are ways around, heck, you may tag me in a cucumber, like spinach thing next time I see my stories, but hey, that's what I do. That is definitely like my go-to. My clients know that. They'll probably be laughing hearing this because they'll be like, she told me to go have cucumbers. I'm like, yeah, go suck it up, have some cucumbers. Okay. So it definitely works. All it is like a little bit of water, obviously very volume dense. And it's not like you're eating 5 cucumbers, right? You're just usually eating something to kind of get them in, something.
I'm going to actually tag the podcast when I take my next cucumber off of my tree, because if you told your athlete to eat one of my cucumbers, you'd be like,
you have cucumbers?
Why do you think like that?
Yeah, no, not Allie's cucumber. I mean, like,
my cucumbers are like, they're bigger than an American football.
I'm jealous.
They're ridiculous. Like, ridiculous.
Yeah, not Allie's kind of cucumbers. I'm talking about like the American cucumbers. They know which ones I'm talking about.
We throw everything a little different down under, lady.
Yeah. Oh yeah, y'all great. You're right. Allie, it was amazing talking to you. I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode, and you guys please make sure you share, you like, you comment, give us some feedback, and definitely let us know.
You're coming into shows, so give us a few things you'd love to hear about that might support your journey coming into literally a stage and coming directly out of, because we can tailor those topics of conversation for extreme relevance to each of you coming into the next couple of weeks. So please just drop us a line, be faster, because I'm planning next week already. So
yeah, we're open books. We love talking, and hopefully you guys are getting some good knowledge and some good insight of how we navigate and how obviously we run our businesses, as well as, our preps and everything that we do. So leave us some feedback. We hope to see you guys and hear of y'all next week. Thanks, Allie.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Queen Divas, Queens of Fitness podcast. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Queen Divas Pod, on Twitter at Queen Divas 4, and follow our hosts on Instagram, Alicia at Alicia Gowans _WBFF Pro, and Steph at Stephanie Ayala 7. See you all next week.